So this is the kind of setup you have to look for. It's very different than what you were doing before. Focus on. Hey everybody. So in tonight's video, I'm going to give you a couple quick tips on how you can benefit from what's going on out there right now. If you've been trading for some time, this is pretty easy trading for those that know where these levels are. And I'm going to just explain it to you very, very quickly. I'm going to give you some ideas on what you should be looking for this week as trading persists. Number one, start looking at leading stocks, okay? Stop with the smaller ideas. You're going to get manipulated out of the smaller ideas in this kind of environment. They cannot manipulate the larger names, okay? I've seen a lot of people out there trading thinner names. You have to be really careful with your thinner names, right? We had people that were buying Wolf today, and then they've had a really tough time because they're assuming it's going to break out. But it's just not going to have that oomph because institutions are not going to want to be trapped in these kinds of names. They need liquidity. You know, it's like a golf ball through a garden hose. We saw this today with First Solar, right? Which actually presented a great opportunity for people to buy these names. And I actually bought some solar today, and I'm very happy with the performance of it. So if you look at First Solar, you know, it's like, again, it's a golf ball through a garden hose. I don't know how else to say it. But you see these names, everyone's buying these breakouts because they're going to go this time. And then, bam, you're coming in and they're just flim-flamming you. So, number one thing to take away from today, if you take away nothing else from this, find volume. Most active, they're your trading stocks for the day. Focus on that. Number two, focus on ETFs. Number three, focus on pullbacks. So, even today, this particular name, this was something we tried earlier in the day in the trading room, did okay, pulled some money out, and then we reversed, and that was it. And then after the 1030 crude oil inventory numbers, really didn't matter. We just grinded higher. A lot of people are out there looking at these charts and focusing on this long downtrend, and you should. The one thing I've been trying to hammer you home, and I want you to take this away as well, this is Jackson Hole. This is CPI, right? We know what these dates are, right? So if you know that these are the dates and when we moved, and why we're moving, and that it's a Fed movement, we know that this is peak inflation. We know that this is when there, quote, might be a Fed pivot. We're being driven by macro, and people are still trading off of follow-through days. By the time you figure out your follow-through day, I'm already selling my stock to you, okay? I mean, I hate to be that blasé about it, but if that's how you're trading in this market, you're gonna get wrecked. You're better off just staying out of the way. And I saw it a lot today, and I saw it a lot in comments yesterday. And stay to the end, but I do want to point this out because there's a couple ideas here. Yes, this is an island reversal gap. This gap right here and gap right here. But you know what? If you understood what the Fed pivot meant and the information that came out, you were buying this bar. You're trading up in it. When this came down today, you knew to buy. So I'm going to show you this. This was one we did in the trading room today. And this is not over. So just to be clear, all you're seeing at the end of the day on the end of any day, you're just seeing them sell because they don't want to what? They don't want the risk. They don't want to carry this over, right? On the third, they sold. You sold down here and then you kind of popped up a little bit, but you never took out that high. You're selling at the end of the day. Then they're taking you down, and then what are they doing? Just like they did with Apple, you're gap filling, and then you're forming a little pattern, and then you're going. We bought right off that rip. You hit that level, down, 1, 2, 3, hits right there. I'll link that candlestick video at the end, and then it goes up. All you're going to do, and you might want to just remember where I have these levels. If you're day trading TQQ tomorrow, I still have a position in this, and we're up $1.50. So my point that I'm getting at with this is a lot of noise out there. I need my follow-through day, this reversal. I want to wait for a stronger market. What you traded for the past 2 years is not what you might get for the next 2 years. You got to wrap your head around that, or you're going to get eviscerated in a market like this. It's not going to work. When they crush things like First Solar and ENPH, you need to be looking at, should you be getting involved? When they're breaking down like this, okay, this is not when you short. You short up here. You don't short down here, okay? Now, I'm going to give you another indicator to use. So I was very interested in buying solars today. I really like the solar ETF, but these names also worked out great. So I just wanted exposure to the entire sector. But First, you have these little tweezer patterns down here, but what you're going to want to do is just start using a MACD histogram. Here's the combination that I'm using. It's pretty standard. All you're looking for is for the red to fade. When this red pops and it starts fading, it can always get worse, but when you start seeing a couple bars like this, that's usually it. Okay, so when you start seeing that, that is telling you where your bottoms are. This is what you have to start thinking about, how you can utilize what you know to pick off pivot spots to reverse. Not how am I shorting this when it rallies up. That short's already over, right? The majority of the short was made in the first 15 minutes, right? If you take a look at that bar, what are you down today? You're down about 30 points or something, 26 points. Okay, 15 of it was 15 minutes. Anything else you're picking out, you're out of position. If you start looking at this on the long side, and you start using patterns like this tweezer pattern that's sitting right here, and then you overlay a MACD with it, with this histogram, just listen to what I'm saying again. See how it starts turning up? See how the stock's not moving at the same time? And then what happens? Red, right? Red, red, green. Red to green flips. Start utilizing this. The other one that you can use to overlay this, I don't use this a lot, but this is a perfect market for it. This is stochastics. Overbought to oversold. Where did we peak? You could see the peak on the stochastics right here, and then you just keep going higher and higher on stochastics. And what's the stock doing? Just staying down. This told you everything that you needed to know about ENPH today. Take a look at First Solar. Okay, same soup reheated, right? Didn't have the same move, but you didn't get stopped out of the trade. So these are the kinds of tools that you need to start using. If you use the same tools for the same job you used 2 years ago, you're going to get the same results. You just don't have the same market. So your results are going to be subpar at best. Just like yesterday, we bought this in the trading room, right? We traded it out. And then what did we do? We got out of the entire trade. Okay. If you're just following the old school, buy the breakouts, cancel them kind of stuff, you're walking in that just traps the next day. Every large institution that's out there right now is looking at breakouts in this kind of environment and just shorting them the next day for no other reason but to hammer retail. I have this saying, and if you've been following these videos, you've heard it before. You're playing against the smartest, most disciplined people in the world. Okay? You're not playing against the guy that you think you're playing against on social media, right? That's the microcosm you think you're playing in. That's not who's really controlling the market. All right? Keep that in mind. So if you take a look at these names, I don't see any reason to assume that we're just going to rally right up, but I certainly don't see any reason how you can look at this market and say, especially after today, that you're just going to fall apart. I just don't say it. If you take a look at the 10-day, you're over. Can some news come out? Absolutely. Could the war get worse? Absolutely. These are things that could unequivocally affect us, right? But at the end of the day, that's not something that I want to short. Okay. It's not something I want to short. So let me get this straight. So the entire day, here's the Fed pivot. Okay. Here's my move. Here's my undercut, which was done perfectly. So now I have macro news, and now the 5 and the 10 are my low. And you're going to short stocks? Go for it. Go for it. Or talk about how you need confirmation. Just so you understand where confirmation is on this. And I'm not trying to be flippant, but so here's your undercut, right? You want your double bottom confirmation. Okay. Some are going to argue that it's here, right? Some are going to argue that it's here. Okay. To be super technical, it's here. So in other words, to confirm that the double bottom is in, you're going to be waiting 18%, right? Or you could start utilizing some of the strategies that I just showed today and maybe start implementing them and doing a little better. Large cap names, focus on large cap names. That's where the action is. As far as other levels, watch the SPY, watch how it's acting. All you did was backfill and then rally. Okay. This backfill and rally is what we call a bear trap. In other words, what did they do today? They trapped the bears. They trapped the people that think they know how to read a chart, right? And they trap them. Okay. Why? Because it's not just about the chart. It's about the Fed. Okay. If this is peak inflation and this is not, you're probably not going to break. Just like how we walk through this ad nauseum, right? This is when they started their nonsense about inflation. Inflation might be transitory. We might have to raise rates. Okay? It's one big trade. The sooner you get that, the better it is. If you remember yesterday, we talked about UUP. And we talked about the 10 and the 5-day and how you need to watch the dollar. I'm just going to go a little longer on this video, but see what I'm talking about right here? Look what you did today. So I've got a weak dollar. Still, it went up a little bit today, but I have a weak dollar and people are still thinking that they're going to be short. They don't understand the mechanics on what's actually driving down equity prices. That's the difference. I'm going to leave you with this too. If AMD is being touted by Goldman Sachs, which they are touting it now. They did lower the price, but they're telling you that you should be looking to buy it. It was on their call today. If Morgan Stanley is coming out and telling you to look at Taiwan Semi, if you're still short this market, you're missing something. Okay, they're the ones that are doing channel checks. They're the ones that are looking at the utilization rates of Taiwan Semi, not the guys on social media. All right, keep that in mind. They're the ones that get paid the big bucks to tell institutions what to do. They're the ones that are making the phone calls and want to know what's going on. Is the 5 nanometer selling, the 7 nanometer selling, right? There are levels to this. If they're making that phone call and you're thinking still that you need to be short the stocks, you're going to get eviscerated. You're on the wrong side, period. Okay, I can't be any clearer. So I hope you find this helpful. I thought it'd be really good to give you a couple examples of things that I utilized today in order to make money. Also, just to kind of get a sense that you need to start paying attention to the macro, and the fundamental side of this market, and start looking at what's coming out of these investment banks as far as equity research. Don't just write it off right now. Listen to what they're saying about stocks that are beaten down. Because if they're coming out and putting recommendations on stocks that are beaten down, they're doing it because there's a fundamental analysis that they've conducted. All right, that's it. That's all I have for tonight. If you're interested in the trading community, there's a link up here in the top right. Have a great evening and trade to win tomorrow.